Hey guys, so I did a video a couple days ago ranking the potential 2024 Democratic candidates for president. Today I want to do the 2024 Republican candidates because no matter what, there will be a primary for the Republican nomination for the 2024 presidential election. So before we get into this, make sure you join my Discord server if you have not, the link to which is at the very top of the description below. So taking a look at this tier list, you have S to F. Of course, S is the best and F is the worst. And I'm going to be ranking these candidates on how well I think they will do and how strong of a candidate I think they are for the 2024 Republican nomination. So starting off, you have Steve Bannon. He was pardoned by Donald Trump. His crime was money laundering with the money that had been donated to build the wall. He took some of that for himself. So I would put him in the F tier. I don't see him being any sort of viable candidate for the Republican Party. And yeah, I just don't see him doing very well in the primary at all. Following this, we have Will Hurd. He is a former Republican, a former Republican representative from Texas, and I'm just going to put him in F tier. I mean, a lot of these candidates have really no shot at the nomination, so I'm not going to go over them too much. But next, we have Nikki Haley. So she has a very good chance of winning the nomination. Right now, she is the clear frontrunner with Donald Trump, so she is essentially the one that has the highest chance of winning the nomination at this point in time. And for that, I would put Nikki Haley in the S tier. She does have a lot of appeal to a lot of Republicans, but there are definitely a lot of people, especially the Trump wing of the party, who are really against her. And I mean, really, the party, the Republican Party right now is more divided than it has ever been. I mean, tens of thousands of people have left the Republican Party for their party registration after the insurrection at the Capitol. And I mean, divide among Republicans is much greater than the divide among the progressive wing of the Democratic Party and the more moderate Democrats. So Nikki Haley, I would put her up at the S tier. I think that she does have by far the highest chance of winning the nomination. So next we have Dan Bongino. He is a commentator and radio host. Don't know much about him. Nobody really knows him, so I'm going to put him in the F tier there as well. Next, you have Candace Owens. She is an activist on the right, and she really doesn't have, she hasn't run or been elected to public office. She has no experience. So for that, I would put her in the D tier. I think that she'd do a little bit better, but I don't think that she's going to gain any sort of major traction, and she's going to drop out very early if she does run. Following that, we have Eric Trump, the second eldest son of Donald Trump, and I think that he would be a good candidate in 2024 if he would run, just because he is the son of Donald Trump. He does seem to be the smarter one between him and Donald Trump Jr., so I would put Eric Trump in the C tier. I don't see him winning the nomination, but he does have Trump in his name, so I would put Eric Trump in the C tier. Following that, we have Mike Lindell. He is the My Pillow guy. I mean, he gained a lot of popularity or attention really in the last couple of weeks for the notes that he brought to the White House, with the martial law and all that for Trump to do so he could remain in office. So Mike Lindell, he is the founder of My Pillow. I think that he's a terrible person, and I'm going to put him in the F tier. He's not going to win the nomination. I mean, he doesn't have any sort of experience. He literally just makes pillows. So, following Mike Lindell, we have Charlie Baker. He is the governor of Massachusetts, and, a Republican governor in a really Democratic state. I think that he is a really average candidate, so I would put him up with Eric Trump there in the C tier. Now, following this, we have Senator Mitt Romney. He is, of course, former governor of Massachusetts and senator from Utah, and he is, of course, the 2012 Republican nominee for president. I don't think he's going to run. I don't think he's going to be nominated again. I mean, he was really popular on the right when he ran, but now the Republican Party is the party of Trump, and you have, a minority who are, the real conservatives that really support Mitt Romney. the Mitt Romney type of Republican. So Mitt Romney, I would put him in the C tier as well. I don't see him being able to win a nomination for his party ever again in the future. It's just way too fractured, and he has just been attacked way too much by Donald Trump over the last 4 years. Next, we have Ivanka Trump. She is by far the most popular child of Donald Trump. I think that she'd be an okay candidate, but, she has no experience, just like her father did when he ran. But I think that if Donald Trump were not to run, I think Ivanka Trump probably has the highest chance of winning the nomination out of all the Trump children. So I would put Ivanka Trump in the B tier. I think she would do all right. I think she does have a chance at the nomination if she runs and his father does not. So Ivanka Trump, I would put him in the B tier, but definitely she is a lot more liberal than her father. So next we have Condoleezza Rice. She is the former Secretary of State serving under the second term of the Bush administration. So she's been out of office for over a decade now. I would put her in the F tier. Nobody really knows her. And yeah, so, she's just, those candidates that run but really never get that much attention. Following this, you have Dan Crenshaw. He is a representative. I just put him in the F tier as well. And then next you have Dan Patrick. He is the lieutenant governor of Texas. Nobody knows him that much either, so I just put him there in the F tier. And next we have Matt Gaetz. I think that he is not the greatest candidate for the Republican Party. There's just going to be too many people against him. And of course, he was the one that went to Wyoming, a couple days ago to campaign against Liz Cheney, who is one of the most conservative people. She's a staunch conservative, number 3 Republican in the House, and he went to Wyoming to campaign against her and try to get her primaried. So Matt Gaetz, I would put him in the D tier. I think that he would gain a little more traction than these candidates, but I don't see his candidacy going anywhere in 2024. So following this, we have Mike Pence, of course, the former vice president. Just because he's a vice president, I will put him in the A tier. I think that a lot of Republicans do still like Mike Pence. And I mean, honestly, in 4 years, I think that Republicans will like him a little bit more, those Trump supporters, than they do right now. So Mike Pence in the A tier, if he were to run for, president in 2024. But of course, he would have to run if Donald Trump did not. I don't see Mike Pence running a 2024 campaign if Donald Trump would run as well. So next you have Greg Abbott. He is the Texan governor, so he's the governor of Texas. He's a very average guy. I would put him in the D tier as well. You also have Larry Hogan, the Republican governor of Maryland. I'd put him in the D tier as well. So next you have Josh Hawley. He is a senator from Missouri, and he was the first person to announce that he was going to vote against the certification of the electoral votes in the 2020 election. He is really just trying to win over that Trump base, and he's probably going to run in 2024. I think that he has a lot of potential with the Republican wing of the party, and he'd do very well with Trump supporters if Trump were not to run. So Josh Hawley, I would put him in the B tier. I think he does have a very strong chance at the nomination in 2024. So next you have Donald Trump Jr. He is the eldest son of Donald Trump, and I think that just because he has that name, I would put him in the B tier. He really has no experience in politics or anything, but I think that if Trump weren't to run, his father, I think that a lot of people would be inclined to vote for Donald Trump Jr. So that's why I have put him in the B tier. Next, we have Kristi Noem. She is the North Dakota governor. She's all right. I mean, there's nothing exceptional or different about her. I'd put her in the D tier. I think that, again, she would get a little bit more support than these candidates, but I wouldn't see a candidacy for Kristi Noem going anywhere in the Republican primary. So next you have Lindsey Graham. Nobody really likes him. The right doesn't like him. He was a traitor. He's seen as a traitor to Trump for what he said on the Senate floor, and now he's trying to amend his relationship with Trump. This was a guy that had a great relationship with Joe Biden, and then tried to prosecute his son. So the left hates him, the right hates him. Moderate Republicans hate him. Nobody likes Lindsey Graham. I'm just going to put Lindsey Graham in the F tier. He did win re-election in 2020, but that was South Carolina. What do you expect? So Lindsey Graham in the F tier. He's not going to win the nomination. And, everybody knows him, but nobody really likes him. Next, you have Marco Rubio. He is, of course, third place in 2016. I think that he definitely had a good chance of winning in 2016. I think that if it wasn't Donald Trump, I think Marco Rubio probably would have come in first. He was young and he had a very good chance. But in 2024, he's a lot older and he doesn't have that sort of newness, I guess, to him for Marco Rubio, but I still think that he would be a strong candidate in 2024. Senator from Florida, I would put him in the B tier right now for Marco Rubio. Next, we have Mike Pompeo. He is, of course, Donald Trump's Secretary of State. I believe he left around 4 weeks before the inauguration of Joe Biden. So he left before the Capitol insurrection. Not that many people view him that favorably, so I would put Mike Pompeo in the F tier. I don't see his candidacy going anywhere in 2024. Next, you have Paul Ryan. Of course, he is the former Speaker of the House until 2018 when he retired. Of course, he was Mitt Romney's running mate in 2012 for president. He was the vice presidential nominee. Of course, they lost. So Tim Ryan, I would put him in the D tier. I think that just because, former nominee and former Speaker of the House for quite a while, I would put Paul Ryan in the D tier. But I don't see that many people supporting him. He has already retired. So following that, we have Rand Paul. Yes, Rand Paul. He's gotten a lot more pro-Trump since 2016. Of course, he also ran against Donald Trump, and he's much supportive of him now than he was 4 years ago. So Rand Paul, he's a very average person. He's just always there. So I'm going to put him in the D tier as well. He did all right in 2016, but nothing exceptional. Next, you have Ron DeSantis, of course, the governor of Florida. His popularity has dropped a lot because of COVID-19, and he's a big supporter of Trump. I'd put him in the B tier just because of that, but he also does appeal to moderates a little bit more. So Ron DeSantis in the B tier. Next, we have Ben Sasse. He, of course, was one of the first Republican senators to call for the impeachment of Donald Trump. And he has not, he's not like someone like Lindsey Graham. He has kept his word. He hasn't tried to retract that statement. So Ben Sasse, senator from Nebraska, I would put him in the D tier. I think he'd do better among those anti-Trump Republicans, but, he's nothing special. So Ben Sasse put in the D tier. Following that, we have Rick Scott. He is the junior senator from Florida, and I would put him in the D tier, honestly. Florida, I think that would help him, but, that's just about it. So Rick Scott in the D tier. Next, we have... Okay, I have no idea who that is, actually. So, I'm just gonna put him in the F tier. I actually have no idea who that is. Yeah, I thought I looked over this list, but I have no idea who that is. If you could tell me, that would help a lot. So, I'm just gonna put him in the F tier just because I have no idea who that guy is. So, next we have Donald Trump, and yes, he was president, which would help him a lot. I would put him in the S tier just because of that. I think that he's probably not going to win the election in 2024. I really don't see Donald Trump, the Republican nominee, winning another 4-year term in 2024. I think he can win the Republican nomination if he runs. He would be the instant front runner, but he would have Nikki Haley to fight against, because those two I really think are at the very top right now in terms of the best, the top contenders for the 2024 Republican primary. So next we have Tim Scott, of course, another senator from South Carolina. He made that speech for Trump at the RNC. But, with Lindsey Graham, he's really just, goes from one side to another. So I would put Rick Scott in the F tier with Lindsey Graham. And then following that, we have Tom Cotton. He is a senator from Arkansas. He's one of the more, he's one of the contenders that people talk about a little bit more for 2024. He's young, and I think that he'll appeal to quite a few Republicans. But I think that he just lacks the basic charisma for that. I think that, he's just a very average guy, which is why I would put him in the C tier. I think he would have supporters, but definitely not enough for him to win the nomination as of this moment in time. So following that, we have Tucker Carlson, of course, of Fox News. He does have a lot of supporters. He has said that he's not going to run, but really half the people who say they're not going to run do end up running. So for Tucker Carlson, I would put him in the B tier. I think that he definitely does have a lot of support among Republicans, and a lot of Republicans, a lot of people, just in general, do know who he is. So he has pretty high name recognition, which is going to help Tucker Carlson in the primary. And then finally, we have Ted Cruz. Now, this is a guy that after voting no, 70%, I believe, of the country do not trust him. And so Ted Cruz, he, of course, was the other main senator along with Josh Hawley, who, voted against confirming the electoral college results on January 6th after the insurrection. So Ted Cruz, Republicans are liking him a little bit more. Of course, he was the main opponent for Donald Trump in the 2016 primary. I think that he has, decreased in his popularity by a lot. He has no charisma. I don't like his beard. And so I'm going to put Ted Cruz, senator from Texas, in the C tier. So this finishes off our Republican primary tier list for the 2024 GOP primary. We have Nikki Haley, Donald Trump at the very top in the S tier, Mike Pence, former vice president, in the A tier. In the B tier, we have Ivanka Trump, Josh Hawley, Donald Trump Jr., Marco Rubio, Ron DeSantis, and Tucker Carlson. C tier, we have Eric Trump. We also we have Charlie Baker, we have Mitt Romney, Tom Cotton, and then Ted Cruz. So these, and then we have more candidates in the D and F tiers. So right now, I think these three, honestly, are the top contenders. But of course, in 4 years, a lot can change, and we can obviously see a surprise candidate in 2024. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below who you think the Republican nominee is, or if you think I put anyone too low or too high. And remember, this is not my opinion on them, because the list would look pretty different if this is just my opinion. This is how well I think they would do in a Republican primary in 4 years. So thank you guys. That will be it for this video. Subscribe to my channel if you have not. Join Discord server, the link to which is at the very top of the description below. And I will see you guys in the next video.